some comments maybe or stuff people say?
Yeah, don't worry. I'll deal with that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
I've looked at it on Facebook, but this is new.
This is new now. Right, you're live.
Okay.
Hey, right. Welcome everybody to our FBS chat, and really happy to have Mark Maat with us. And I know you do an awful lot of things, but before we get to what sort of projects you're in at the moment, what's always interesting for me anyway is to find out what led you to this work in the first place. What was the driver behind you?
That's a good question, actually. Well, you always ask the really great questions, but actually I was into this field by accident. But when I finished my school, I had some three directions I wanted to look into. One was journalism, one was going to university to study law, and the other one was going to this school for social work. So I went to this day when I presented social work, and then I was there. I was living at the East Holland at the time, and I went there. And when I experienced that day, I said, "No way, I'm going to do this. No way." So I ran away quite quickly, And then in the end, I started to study law. Which is a study, I also am interested in law. I think maybe because of all these fascinating TV programs where you see all these solicitors doing all these interesting stuff.
Columbo.
Well, Columbo is also a fan of mine. Well, then I went to study. Then I because we were living in the east of the Netherlands, and I went to study in Utrecht, where I live now, in university. But then my father was getting sick, and then he died. And then my mother has been struggling with Parkinson's disease from the age I was 6, I think. So we needed to look into that. How is she cope with my father falling away? I have a younger brother, 6 years, my minor. So you're still in school, So I was the elder one. I said, well, what am I going to do now? But then after a year or so, I said, okay, I can continue my studies. And because law is not a study where you have to be there at university every day, I could be home quite often. But after a few years, my mother really deteriorated. And I think 4 years after my father died, he went to hospital and all these things, and then in the end she left us also. So and then I couldn't study anymore. It was impossible. I couldn't concentrate. So then I said, okay, I can still be registered in university, but if I'm not going to progress, it's no use. So and then I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? I was talking to one of my university friends, and I told him about I was looking to go to school for social work and whatever. And he said, if you want to know if this is something for you, go and look at this shelter. If you can work at that shelter, you can work everywhere. So I went there, and I worked, and the rest is history.
Wow.
But it was before I had any education in social work or whatever. I just started working there. Of course, in the first years, you didn't earn a lot of money, and I wasn't. I didn't think I was going to continue that. in the beginning because people started to make, oh, go and do some studies and whatever. I said, I don't know. I don't know. For the moment, I'm okay. But I'm not sure if what's going to happen. And then in the end, I did. I went to school and got my bachelor, and then I worked in a shelter, and then I changed over working at a place where homeless people live, which was a very interesting place. When I applied there, my friends said to me, "You're crazy, right? Going to work with homeless people?
This isn't the same friend that asked you to try the shelter out."
No. Just my friends. They say, "Well, this is a difficult, homeless people. They are difficult." And then and when I worked there, I actually found these people very interesting, because they're at the end of the line, the last place they can go to if they're not on the streets. But they have these really interesting life stories, and if you can connect with them, and are you able to listen to them, don't tell them what to do, because then they walk away. But just listen to what they want to tell you, and and actually, I learned the skill to listen even more than I probably could, but that was like a starting point for.
Yeah. So, what did your friend know about you that he thought you would benefit from going to a shelter?
No, just the story that I told him, that once I was interested in going to school to study social work, and because he knew the shelter, he did some work there as well. So he said, "Well, if you really want to know, go there, go talk to them." So I did.
Yeah. And you said that listening to them was really important rather than telling them what to do. How did you know to do that? How did you know that was a good idea?
Well, when I came in there, when you come in your first day, they're going to tell you, what's the job, and somebody will take you on hand and say, "Well, you with me today, see what I'm doing, and this is what you're going to do in the other days." So then I observed that some of my colleagues, they were really like these social workers, right? So one of the people, it was a men's place. There lived like 60 men in that place.
Wow.
I saw how they behaved towards the homeless guys, and I saw that these homeless didn't like that. So they were polite, so they listened, and so, but then they walk away. So I saw that, and I said, "Well, that's not working. So I'm not going to do that. Not going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I thought in the beginning, well, maybe I just listen what they want to tell me. In the beginning, when you go in a new place, people are going to try you out, see what you're worth of. So in the beginning, I just listened. So people come to me, tell me a story. I listened, and then then I said to them, "Okay, any more?" And they said, "No." So okay, so I'm going to play some ping pong or wherever. And the interesting story about that is that after a while, they came to me and they said, "Hey, Mark, I have a problem. Can you help me? What do you want me to do?" And then I said to them, "Are you sure you want me to give you advice? Are you sure? I mean, I can give you advice if you really want that. But it's your responsibility. It's not my responsibility if you're going to do it or not. So if you're going to do it and it works bad, it's not my problem. Your problem." And so I think that is how I started my career just listening and not really. I don't like if people tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Probably because I don't like people telling me what to do. But
Yeah. And it was almost very kind of solution focused in saying, yeah, okay, but what almost saying, so I've heard what you've said, so what are you going to do about it? Rather than saying, I think you should do this.
Right.
Okay.
But at that time in my life, I didn't know about solution focused, or
No.
I didn't know about any methods actually.
Yeah.
When I went to school after a few years, because when I worked there after a few years, one of my colleagues said, "I want to go to get another education." But why did you come with me? I said, I don't know if I want to continue in this. So in the end, we went together. And when I went to school, we had these lessons, and I sometimes was in these lessons, and I said, this is what you call what I do.
Yeah.
It was really enlightening,
So you, after a year or so in the homeless shelter, you went back to university to study what, social work?
Well, it was not university, but it was like for my bachelor degree.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your aim after getting your studies done? Was it just to remain with the homeless, or did you want to broaden what you were doing?
Well, actually, I was working with the homeless people, but it was quite a difficult environment because our director had some special ideas, which was really getting some issues within the personnel, and also issues within the homeless guys actually. So there were people for him and there were people against him, And in the beginning, I was just, I'm new, so I'm not bothered or whatever. But then after a few years, I said, well, I don't like this. I don't like this atmosphere. So then you're going to talk with people and say, well, can't we do something about it or whatever? But then after a while, I worked out in the beginning like 4 years, and then I said, well, it's time for me to go. So I applied for another job, and then I went, So, and then after a few jobs, I came into the family business, youth care, which was totally different, but But I think my the skill of trying to focus on what people are telling you, listening carefully, and not trying to tell people what to do. I think I always took that with me. It's also a starting point for how I try to behave, which sometimes it was more easy than other times, but anyway.
Yeah. So when did you first realize, when did you first come across the, because I know you use solution focus, but also you mentioned like positive psychology and narrative therapy. So when did you first come across the solution focus approach and think, wow, that's kind of what I've been doing anyway?
Well, first time I came across it was when I was a family supervisor. Like, I don't know, 1990 or so, 1992, some place like that. And they presented this book from IMSO Kimberg, Family-Based Services, a Solutions Approach. But at that time, I didn't really think much of it. I went to the presentation, and but the work was very hectic and cost a lot of energy. So at the time, I didn't. I bought a book, but it was for a while. It was on my shelf, you know. you know these things. But after, and then because when I went to youth care, but not as a family supervisor, but organization here in Utrecht, where I worked for almost 10 years. I came across things like signs of safety, and what amazed me was that we had a department who worked with these problems, and they were involved in getting to learn about signs of safety, but the other departments didn't know about it. I heard about it by accident. So there was this day with whole day with signs of safety. So I went there too, and that's what really interested me. So I bought the book, and I got more books about solution focused and try to incorporate it in my work, which was difficult, but because everybody say, what are you talking about? We have a problem. So and I wasn't good at it at the time, but I tried to see, there's more than a problem. People aren't the problem. People have a problem, but they have lives. They are a father, and and they have a job, and they play football, and so there's a lot more than just being a problem.
Yeah. So you saw that they had resources and strengths as well as a problem.
I think at the time I wasn't really about that clear about resources, But I think I knew, but I couldn't put it in like that words, and in this. But I've always been looking at what works, what can people do, and I think it also came from my upbringing, because my mother, my mother, she sometimes was not able to do the things that she could do. I remember times when family came to our house. You know how this goes. They go and sit in the living room and waiting for their coffee and whatever. And my mother was in the kitchen and trying to do the dishes or whatever. And so the family, my aunt or uncle or whatever, they were criticizing me. They said, "Well, you have to do this for her." And I was thinking, I shouldn't do this for her if she wants me to do it. Of course. But of course I can do it quicker than my mother could at the time. But I'm not going to do everything for her. What's the value of her life? If she wants to do it, even if she takes 3 times longer than anybody else. But in the end, she did it.
Yeah.
So, and I was really close with my mother. So, and I think this is always by looking at situations, that people might say, or do things, and if you consider yourself an expert or whatever, you can say, well, you don't do it in a good way, or you can do it better or whatever. But I'm always thinking, well, at least they did it.
Yeah.
And if you are able to do something, you have to have some capacity, some qualities, even if it can be done better. But so that's what I always have taken away from and another thing I think I learned from my parents was the aspect of respect. Respect others. Don't put them down. Don't say it's not good enough or whatever. Everybody does their best to do something, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so what is a family supervisor in Holland, Mark? Is it a basically was it a social worker with complex families, complex needs?
Yeah, it's like a guardian. I don't know what the English term at the moment is, but this is family who has problems, and somebody said, well, we're going to ask the judge to look at it and give a judicial measure.
Right.
In fact, the guardian or whatever, they are in a way having some say about things as much, maybe a part like mother or father or the parents.
Right. So it sounds something like in England it would be like maybe children on the edge of the care system. So the courts get involved and certain things have to be done.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of the families that you work with, they would have been. Would it be fair to say that they weren't voluntary clients?
It's an interesting subject.
I always love it when Mark says,
I think you can say that. Well, actually, in the case of family supervisor, that's then not voluntary, because somebody else thought they can use a family supervisor. And the judge said, "Oh, I agree, so you're going to do that." But even in what they call voluntary youth care, a lot of the families are not voluntary, but they participate because they feel they have to. So when I went to work in Utrecht, it was kind of voluntary, and I always remembered when I worked there. One of my colleagues had there was this family came to him to his office, and then the meeting was over, and then he was not really satisfied about the meeting, and then he came and he said, "This family is not motivated." And I was confused. So I said to him, "I don't understand. I mean, you asked them to come to you, right?" He said, "Yes." And they came. Yes. And you had this meeting. Yes. So what? How are they not motivated? He came to you. I mean, if I'm not motivated, I'm not going.
Yeah. They turned up.
So, and and I said to him, maybe they're not motivated for that what you want. But maybe you try to find out what they're motivated for. So I always found that really strange. And within solution focus, we're not talking about motivation actually. So.
And the it's interesting because we are in the UK. We should be following a strength-based approach.
Yeah.
So what can the family do rather than what they can't do?
Right.
And the solution-focused approach in a lot of agencies may only be used for families that were voluntarily asking for support.
Right.
So it's almost viewed as if a family is mandated to come here, that the solution-focused approach or a positive psychology approach, whatever you want to call it, a strengths-based approach, may not work because these families need to be told.
Right. Yeah.
So, and how do you make sense of that? I guess because I when someone's mandated, there can be that barrier because you may be seen as part of the system. How did you break those barriers down?
Well, I've been told that. I work within a mental health organization, and we had these were all like immigrants, executives, people from different countries, and we had also a few psychiatrists working for us, also from these countries. And I remember one of the psychiatrists who was from former Yugoslavia. He one day said to me, your approach, but you want the easy families. And I told him, no, I don't want the easy families, because I think this approach is really, really working well with these so-called difficult families. But I don't believe in difficult families. But it's like when they talk to me, we have this multi-problem family.
Yeah.
I don't like the word. So I say, well, I prefer to speak about multi-stressed.
Yeah.
Because there are different stress factors playing around. But it's not like these people don't want to better their lives.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like I said before, if these people come to you, for what reason they do, they come. So there's some reason, there's something that drives them to you. It might not be voluntarily. It might be that somebody said, well, if you're not going, then da-da-da-da. But, I remember one case, there was this father who was referred by school to two little children, and they were worried about one of the children, and he came to me and he said, well, they told me I have to come to you and talk to you. So we had this conversation, but quite early in the conversation he said, well, I've done what I had to do. So I can go. I don't need to come back. So okay. So you don't have to do what I want. But you were referred by the school, so if you're not coming back, then I will let the school know that you're not coming back. He said, no, that's not the idea. I said, well, what can we do? And then we have this real conversation, and then we had some good possibilities, and in the end he was very happy. Because in the end, what the school was looking at, he also had these problems at home, but he didn't want to talk about it in the beginning. But after we had this opening, he was talking about these things, and actually he was really happy that we could do things to help him with his wife, to help cope with the behavior of these children. So, and when I did my master degree and I wrote my dissertation, I referred in that there was this saying about this psychiatrist, Jenner. He had this, I can read it to you.
Yeah, well.
Because he said, where is it? He said, unmotivated patients do not exist. The art of resistance is to discover what these patients are motivated for. Motivated therapists distinguish themselves through this art from unmotivated therapists. I think that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah. And there is that. Obviously, there is that thing in solution focus, but in particular where there is no such thing as a resistant client.
Right.
That we haven't found. We either haven't asked the right questions, or so we need to look at ourselves rather than the client's shortcomings.
Right.
Yeah. And so you were a family supervisor for 10 years. It sounds like all your clients were really on the edge, or either homeless or.
No. I have to correct you there. I was in the beginning when I changed from the homeless sector to the youth care. Then I moved into they took me as a family supervisor. Actually, I didn't apply for this job. I applied for a different job, and they said, "Well, this one is gone, but we can take you as a family supervisor." which was new to me. And after a few years, I changed my job into still in youth care, but not in the mandated area. But as I said before, these people, these families came. Some they asked for help, but some they were referred by school or other people, or sometimes within the family. You say, well, you go to the youth care because it's not going well. Go and get some help. And then and then people come and they sometimes think, well, here's my son. He doesn't behave well. Here he is.
Fix it.
Right. So and I always said, well, I can't fix him, but I can help you think about how you can fix him. How you can deal with it. So like I said, if you think about homeless people or people in mandated services, just think about it on the edge, but just people, just people having a life, getting into bumps, and sometimes if these are too many bumps, then they forgot how to solve their situation. But I almost convinced that people know how to. I mean, if some mother comes to you with a 10-year son and say, well, he doesn't listen, help me. Then they ask them, okay, have you have some help before? No. Yeah. So you raise your child 10 years. So how did you do that? How did you do that? Right? Because you cannot think of a situation that the child from 10 years never posed a challenge. But people sometimes forget how did it.
And it's so. What are you up to now? What's exciting happening for you at the moment?
Oh, lots of stuff.
Oh, fill us in, Ash.
He's got wonderful projects, and one thing I love about Mark is that he's very sharing and giving. And I'm trying to think, because you sent me something. Oh, I need to find it. Not that long ago. What was it you sent me, Mark?
I don't know.
It was a piece that you wrote. It was a piece that you wrote. That was really about the youth, and it was so inspiring. Can you talk a little bit about that? In fact, I'm going to find the link.
Well, we're all in this COVID-19 stuff, which is not only a health problem, and different people have different opinions about if it's a health problem or not. But it's also economically for people a problem, and especially for young people, and then I'm in this local area where there are a lot of young people from different backgrounds, Moroccan, Turkish, refugees, whatever. So normally they are already more difficult for them to get work experience or get a job or find the right school or whatever. And then something happens. And there were this unrest in different places, not only in this area where I'm at, but also in The Hague and Rotterdam and whatever, in these areas with this kind of population. And in some places there were really, really intense riots. And then, if something like this happens, a lot of people have some opinions about it. And they say, well, the parents don't, where are the parents? Or we have to really be forceful, getting like this. And and then the politics get into as well. Well, these foreigners are making problems for us. All these things. And I was thinking, it's we can look at different reasons why this might happen. But actually, we don't know. We don't know. And so, I mean, if there is one apparent reason, you say, okay, we have this reason that maybe we can do something and it won't reoccur. But if maybe 4, 5, 6 different reasons might be there, what are you gonna do? So then I wrote this piece about all these different things people wrote, and I said, well, we can look at the problem. We need to look at the problem because these people that are really destroying people's property and things like that, that's not acceptable. And a lot of these young people are just seeing something's happening, and this is interesting, and I'm going to get along. I'm going to, it's in my area, everybody's been young, interesting, what's happening in my area. So I said, well, I think what we can say is that a lot of these young people in this situation with COVID and economic problems and whatever, they have a lack of real new perspective. So I think the best thing we can do is try to communicate with these young people and find out, have to find out what the best way will be, but try to find out what are their hopes, what is they really are trying to establish, what we want to achieve, even if they think maybe it's impossible, but everybody dreams. Even if people say they don't dream, everybody has a dream somewhere. So that was the reason that I said, well, I'm to put pen to paper. I actually wrote on the computer. And I shared it. So I wrote in Dutch and in English. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of you, Joe. He kind of Mark sees a need or sees something happening and makes sense of it and then goes for it. And that's something I really love about Mark. He's a doer. That's how I see you, Mark. You kind of think, hold on a minute. I'm going to try and make sense of this and, and put things together and put those puzzle pieces together and then comes out with this fantastic idea. And and I am actually in awe of all the work that you're doing. It's incredible. And your new office is gorgeous.
Sorry?
Your office.
What office?
Don't you have an office now?
Yeah. Well, my team has a new office. We have this new place in this area. So, but we're still working on these ideas. What can we do? Because in this area where we are in, there are a lot of initiatives. And in the Netherlands, we have this really care has been reorganized. Things are done. And what I've seen is that for a lot of people, the help is okay. There are also people who are really not going to ask for help, even if they need help, because they have heard about stories about, if you go to these organizations, before you know it, they take my children away, or and I think, sometimes these things are happening. Sometimes this is why I like Solution Focus so much, because we ask people what is their question, what is their preferred future. But in other approaches, sometimes people come with what they need, and then the worker said, well, I've looked at it, and I think you need this and this and this. And before you know it, the people think, I didn't ask for that. You know, it's like when you go to hospital and say, I have a little problem with my toe. And then the doctor looks at you and say, well, you need an operation at your knee, right?
Yeah.
And if this happens a lot, then people are going to tell their neighbors and whatever, and then people say, well, better not go there, We're going to do something what you didn't ask for.
Yeah. So your team, so you've moved to new offices. I know you mentioned just a minute ago that there are people that really could do with support but don't come forward. Is that kind of what you're trying to tackle with your team? More in a social arena?
Yeah, well, the idea I came up with is that because we are of course an independent group, so I said to my colleagues, what we should do, what could be an idea, because we're in this center with different organizations, different initiatives. Some are doing something with yoga, some do something with sports. I think they are going to establish a chess club for young people, something with young people doing a lot of gaming, and try to see how can we work with these young people so they're not gaming all the time, but so I can imagine that there are more maybe parents who have a story to tell. So when we had this webinar a few weeks ago, or maybe some months ago, I don't know, with Alicia, she was talking about this one therapy session. I said, well, why this would be a good idea. Just offer a place for people to come to. They don't have to bring a problem. If they do, it's okay.
Yeah.
But if they want to just tell their story, we can offer a place where you can talk to them, ask good questions. And perhaps that's good. It's good enough for just one time.
Yeah.
Perhaps they say, well, it was nice. Maybe can I make another appointment? So then we can do that. And from there on, we can communicate, connect with these people, and maybe they will need some specific other needs. So we can help them find it, or maybe just a few meetings, So and hopefully, if we can do that for a certain amount of time, we know more what people in the area look for, what they need, and then we might go and see. We've seen like 10 others with certain questions. So maybe it's an idea to make a group, so I can talk to each other, support each other, things like that.
That's amazing. So are these walking sessions or these single sessions? Are they in your office or are you out in the community? How does it work? That's really fascinating.
Well, it's hopefully going to work. We are not doing it at the moment. It's we are still looking to find the right way to see how should we call it. Because we want to invite people in and not scare them away with giving it a certain term. You say, okay, it's not a helping organization. We don't need to go there. So that's what we're still looking at, and we're still looking to communicate and to see what other organizations, because there are a lot of initiatives. So we need to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting area.
Yeah, and it sounds like when it takes off and you've it's almost like gathering the information to see what the local community would benefit from. What's lacking, what's missing.
Right. Yeah.
So when you've gathered that information, what do you hope to do with that?
Ooh.
You're doing it for yourself. You're happy with your own questions, Joe. I love it.
No, but I'm thinking of what we can do. But carry on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Well, if you have the information, we need to see what is what, and if you can decide, okay, this certain information belongs to like this group of people, then you need to make a connection with them. Maybe invite them for information gathering in the evening or whatever, and to ask them, we've got this idea from the information we got. What do you think about it? Would you participate?
Yeah. And I guess it's so also having that knowledge of what other services are available in the local area that can be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to go and do something other parties are doing as well.
Yeah. And we have many third sector organizations and other agencies, and it's connecting it all together, because there's probably things going on out there, even though we know our community really well. There's lots going on that we're still not aware of.
Right.
And it's good because from our point of view, it's the conversation is fantastic, but there's also sometimes practical support that people need.
Sure.
And
the question is, of course, in what way would these families or young people or whatever, in what way would they benefit most?
Yeah.
Would they benefit most from a professional? Like maybe somebody has financial problems. So, we know this professional who knows a lot of what you should to help you. Or is it more beneficial to know somebody maybe who has had financial problems in the past, got out of it, and now can say, I had this problem, but I got out of it because of that and that and that and that. So
yeah, so almost using the skills that people who have come for a service in the past have got over before, that they've managed. That's fantastic. Oh, I like it. Sounds like a good plan, Mark. So what's left for you? What do you, because it sounds like you've done so much. Is there any burning passion left? Anything that's you think this is my next avenue?
Well, I would be really hopeful to experience these one-session meetings and getting the feeling that it really benefits people.
Yeah.
And if you can, because my colleague, I have my colleagues tell me, you can write good. You're very good in writing. So, okay, thank you very much, but or they say, you know a lot about solution focused. I said, well, I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to do what I think to do. I try to educate myself, try to read books, go to meetings or whatever. But it would be. It's really interesting if you can help others to make a little step forward. To get a little forward to that. Because if people say to me, "this is really interesting," I wish I could do that. And they say, do you have some information? And I send them information. And then when I see them 2 weeks later, they say, do you have information? I say, yeah, I sent you information. So it's like Elliot always says, it's also about doing. It's also like practicing. Yeah.
And we know that you're very giving with information. You've sent us loads of interesting stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, even when we was talking about, do you remember we was talking about our paperwork, and you gave us that idea to make it more solution focused, which was brilliant. So we will be looking into that. So because we've also looked at single session therapy.
Yeah.
Just as a way of reducing the wait. That's, there's sometimes people have to wait so long for a service. So we're kind of hopeful that this may be a way not only of reducing that wait, but maybe helping families that have become stuck.
Mm.
And
yes, I've talked to past few weeks to a few organizations here, and they're telling me about their we have a big waiting list and things like that. So then I asked them, so when you have a waiting list and you got a new mother or family that wants your help, and you have a waiting list, so you can't help them directly, and you're going to tell them, well, we have a waiting list, we put you on the waiting list. So I asked them, are you going to talk to them before putting on the waiting list, or just putting them on the waiting list and see when it's their turn? He said, no, we're going to put them on the waiting list, and when it's their turn. So I said to them, well, I would suggest that you have a talk first.
Yeah.
Give them one session.
Yeah.
Even if you cannot spare an hour, spare what you can. Talk to them. I mean, skip the problem, skip the analysis, just ask them what they want instead.
Yeah.
And then you give them, you already are giving them some attention, some help.
Yeah.
Not because you want to tell them what to do, but if you help them to think about what they really want, that can also be very helpful.
I'd be really interested. What was their answer to you when you told them that?
We don't have the time.
But what they don't realise is it will actually save them time, and it would be more beneficial to the families.
Yes, but that's the problem we have here, is that we have
we have that here as well, Mark. Sorry.
Too many protocols.
Yeah.
To do things according to protocol. And I said, well, we have too much bureaucracy, too much protocols. Help people with what they want to do. What they want to achieve.
Yeah.
That would be so helpful for people, but it also will be, because in a while ago there was this message from somebody from some organization. They said, well, there are more people leaving youth care in the Netherlands than coming into, so we're losing professionals going out, probably because of all these bureaucracy and protocols.
Yeah. When we had a similar conversation, the reply wasn't that we don't have the time. The reply from them was, what is in it for you? So in other words, what was in it for us as an organization? Which was quite a sad way to look at it.
It's
rather than what was in it for the client.
Right. Even if you look at it from how will the organization benefit, first of all, you will know a bit more about the clients. Not only from, I mean, if they have a written referral, so this is a problem, If you can talk about them, not just about what the problem is they come for, but also what they want to achieve. You have a better picture, and you give them some attention, though, so they know you are interested in them, and not just putting them on a 3-month waiting list or whatever. When I worked in Utrecht in the youth care, which is like 10 years ago or something, we at one time we had a waiting list from about a year, right? And then putting all these people on the waiting list, and then after a while they say, okay, we have to call all these people and find out how they're doing, and if they still want our help. And a lot of these people said, no, don't need your help anymore. So they said, okay, they don't need our help anymore. And then I said, so did you ask them what made the difference that they don't need help anymore?
Yeah.
How did they solve the problem? What is the situation now? But because that would give a lot of information about how can you do things differently.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because it's not an idea that should be unusual for example, when you follow a medical model. So if I go into accident and emergency and I have a pain or there's something wrong with me, I would get triaged. Someone will look at me and say, right, you need an x-ray, or you need this specialist, or you need that specialist, or actually it's just wind, you can go home. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand why it doesn't fit in with that model. It just makes sense.
But this conversation itself has been very useful, because that's something that we should do. Yeah,
definitely. Because like Mark was saying, you leave people for a year, and that's pretty much what young people have to wait for mental for psychotherapy in this area of London. It's a 1-year wait.
Wow.
It would be interesting to find out, with a follow-up, was one session useful? What difference did it make? And like Mark was saying, it's not like you're saying it's one session and never another one. There's always that option, isn't there?
Right. The thing is, if you're going to use the one session or the session you are offering, I don't know, I think it's an English word which we are using in the Netherlands, is we do an intake, right? And an intake is like an assessment, right?
Intake assessment, yeah.
So, but why don't skip the assessment? Why don't talk to people about, okay, let's have a conversation. We can offer you now one conversation. We have a waiting list, but for now we can offer one conversation. What are your best hopes for this conversation, or what do you want to talk about that will make it useful for you? And if people want to talk about a problem, they will talk about a problem. But if they want to talk, I have this problem, I need to fix it some way, and then you got a different conversation.
We need to keep in touch about this, because it's something that we're going to be looking into as well. So I think
to get him into London.
Sorry?
Well,
I'm trying to get Mark to come to London, and he's trying to get us to go over there.
Yeah.
Get Mr. Johnson to skip the quarantine.
Yes. We'll come to you, Mark. How's that?
Yeah.
Always
good. I think that's a great. It's not the answer to everything, but it's certainly something worth looking into, because keeping young people waiting a year for a service is pretty criminal, really.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It just doesn't make no sense.
You shouldn't do that.
So when are you going to write this book?
What book?
Yeah.
Everyone says you write really well and you've got the passion for it. Why don't you write a book?
Don't know. Actually, I've been deliberating quite a while now to write some more. A book, I don't know, because the book is quite intense. But I was talking to a friend the other day, and he said to me, "Well, just write different pieces. If you have written enough pieces, then you can combine them
together.
in a book." I don't know, but yeah. A book is intense, you know. It's
Is this the same friend that told you to go to the homeless?
You're stuck on that. He's got more than one.
No, I was going to say listen to him because he's talking sense. Because a book is written in stages; it's not written all in one go.
No, I know a few writers, so but you know.
Brilliant.
Writing a book is you have to focus really.
Yeah.
Put
and
yourself.
All the knowledge is there. I guess it's just getting it down.
Yeah, you know.
He is a good writer, though. Mark is a very good writer.
Well, you know, I've told this before to some friends. When I went to school, when I was young, you know, and then we had to meet to write these pieces, you know, about your fantasy or whatever, you know, in Dutch class, you know, and I hated it. You know, I don't want to. You know, I was good in language, you know, in grammar and whatever, and I also liked to read. But writing a piece, you know, about a certain subject, and okay, yeah, you got the paper, a pen, and do it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it, you know. And I think I don't know. I think that getting into social work, needed to write all these reports and stuff. And quite soon I realized that most of the cases, you know, you can write according to a certain model, you know. So actually you can write the same stuff, you know, in certain ways, just change names and whatever. And I thought to myself, I don't want to do that. So I always try to make it a bit more of a story, you know.
Yeah.
And actually also in these reports you also read about all these jargon, you know. And then I don't, you know, when I was writing these things, then I said, I'm writing this for my clients, so leave out the jargon.
Yeah.
So then I went to the staff member who needed to read it, and they told me, why don't you use the jargon? It's easier to read. I'm writing it. I said, I write it for the family. They need to understand what I'm writing. They need to. So in the end, I said, okay, I will put the jargon in, but then I will explain the jargon. You know?
Yeah. Because it's when you write like that, it's more accessible to everyone.
Right.
So when your book's ready, I shall be the first one to buy it.
Okay.
But we want a signed copy, though.
Is there a certain topic you want me to write about?
Having solution-focused conversations. Self-help.
Self-help.
For anyone that can have a solution-focused conversation.
Right. Anybody can do that.
I would be intrigued to hear a lot more about the work that you did with the homeless project and the youth project, and as you know, in the social field, and kind of put all of that together, chapter at a time, to hear that. because I
Right.
think I think they're all equally as interesting and informative and diverse. And I'd like to read further on that. Thank you. Now go write. Go write your book so we can read it.
Well,
That's my request. That's my Christmas present.
I will think about it, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
No. Maybe by next Christmas. I'll allow you that.
But
So go and buy it as a Christmas present for me.
I will. Anyway, I like the suggestion, and thank you for inviting me for this chat. It's really, it's really nice. It's thought provoking also, so it's inspiring. So
you've inspired us. It's been an hour has just gone like that. It's gone so quick.
It's finished.
Yeah, fascinating. Your hour and 6 minutes by the looks of the clock. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, stay there. We'll have a little catch up afterwards, but just for now, and it won't be the last time we speak, I'm sure, and it won't be the last time we meet because we often meet on some international event or something like that. So, thank you so much, and we'll speak soon. Just hang on there, Aisha. You normally end this. Why am I ending it? Get on with it.
You just kind of took it, so I thought let him go with it. Bless him. Yeah, see you guys soon, and look out for the next FBS chat.